Hello, Scooper Troopers. I am the Script Keeper, Mr. Script Keeper.
And I'm Mrs. Script Keeper.
And we together are going to present to you another bunch of dipshit stuff for another Dipshit Files. But we're the dipshits this week. It's going to be oddities about the universe and really about this planet that we all share. Things like falling blackbirds, humpback whales shit, the weird stuff there. A guy was hit by lightning 7 times. We're going to look at fish frozen in time, sky trumpets, the Battle of Los Angeles, the city in the sky, and then the stairs in the woods. That's the one that we're going to focus on the most, is the stairs.
That's the featured topic, yes.
So that's what we're looking at this week. It's going to be weird shit. And I got to tell you, I've only heard these stories just in our little pre-production. This is interesting shit. I got goosebumps on a couple of these. We'll see if it has that effect on you. On the other side of this here sounder thing, let's open up another dipshit file.
Dipshit Files.
We are living in an enlightened age. There has never been a better time in history for humans.
No, gulags were nice.
With science and technology, we're able to understand our surroundings better than ever. However, every so often, something happens, leaving us totally stumped.
Yeah, like, is the meat inside a Hot Pocket circus animal?
Sometimes something so strange will happen, we will question everything that we know.
Like when McDonald's tried to serve us all McPizzas and we collectively said, stop it right now.
Today we touch on a handful of mysterious events that might make you question reality. I will briefly share some events that have boggled the minds of science and the public alike before I dive into an extremely intriguing story about out-of-place structures and weird occurrences in our national parks.
The theme for today is weird shit.
Today on the Dipshit Files, we dive into a bit of quantum physics.
Action-packed quantum physics.
And entertain the idea of parallel existences. But first...
Science-y shit. Science it up, baby.
But first, let's start by rolling through a few odd happenings on this planet. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right.
File number 1, falling blackbirds.
So we're going to start with the falling blackbirds.
How about the birdies?
Shortly before midnight on New Year's Eve in 2011, thousands of blackbirds fell from the sky, landing lifeless on the ground.
That's obviously aliens.
The mysterious event happened in the town of Beebe in Arkansas in the U.S. The next day, a cleanup operation was underway, and they discovered that 5,000 birds had fallen to their deaths.
Fucking Matrix is glitching out again.
The birds were found to have suffered blunt force trauma, having collided with trees, cars, and buildings. Initially, fireworks were blamed, but the story gets even weirder. So around that time, 10,000 drumfish washed up on the banks of an Arkansas river.
Drumfish? More like a dumb fish, huh, Steve?
The two incidents happened just 125 miles away from each other, and some people genuinely thought it was a sign of the end of times.
End of days, yeah.
Yes.
All right, time to drink the poison Kool-Aid, kids.
Yay.
You too, wife. Can't wait.
Adding to the mystery even further, the same thing happened again on the anniversary of the first incident. On New Year's Day, 2012, blackbirds began falling out of the sky just like the year before, except this year, fireworks had been banned to stop a repeat of the incident.
Shit.
Yeah, it happened anyway, but why?
Illuminati scum. Did the fish happen too?
No, just the birds, as far as I know. Well, we don't...
What the fuck, Arkansas?
I know. We
clean up your shit. Is that it? I don't
We
know
don't have a definitive answer. Similar shocking events have been reported across the world, though, including in Australia in July 2009, when dozens of birds dropped from the sky, having appeared to have been poisoned.
They ate the bad corn.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, it is.
Next topic to touch on.
File number 2, what the fuck's going on with these whales?
Change of the humpbacks.
Quick humpback whale fact. A lot of people think that humpback whales are named humpbacks because of humps on their back, but it's actually because insert sex joke here.
Whales have been around for 50 million years, so when they start changing their behavior after all that time, something strange is definitely going on.
It was the first whale orgy ever documented.
Recently, it was reported that humpback whales have been forming supergroups.
That's hot.
Which is very odd behavior for the typically solitary creatures who only come together
Phrasing.
to breed. Marine biologists have noticed large groups of whales ranging from 20 to 200 traveling together at a time.
Imagine being in a little boat and seeing that shit.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
They have also been noted to have strayed thousands of miles away from their usual feeding grounds, and many have altered their whale songs.
Yeah, they added more electric guitars.
Which is really interesting.
It's probably because they invented government or something, so they're sad. It's all good. I mean, you get them all together, now they got to have a mayor. Go ahead, sorry.
Do you have to bring government into everything?
Annoyingly so, yes.
Government's dumb.
While the change in tune is thought to be in response to the sound of the new ships in the oceans, scientists can't yet explain why their behavior has changed so drastically.
Probably violence in video games, I would guess.
Researchers working on putting together the answers have called the change intense.
It's a fucking mystery.
Yes. Next,
File number 3. Nature fucking hates this guy.
the man struck by lightning. This one was fucking fascinating.
The guy's basically an X-Man.
Roy C. Sullivan is the late Guinness World Record holder for most lightning strikes survived. Shockingly, Sullivan was struck 7 times in his life, defying the most unlikely of odds.
What a shit superpower.
Roy was a park ranger in Virginia and had the reputation of being the unluckiest man in the world.
He got a degree in making websites in the early 2000s?
He was first struck in 1942 and then again in 1969.
Dude.
His bad luck ramped up in the 70s when he was struck a further 5 times.
Jeez.
His last strike left him with nasty chest and stomach burns. Being struck by lightning means being hit with 100 million volts of electricity, and it is miraculous that he even survived.
Yeah. Does he have superpowers after one of those?
Yeah.
It'd be funny, after like the 4th one, he gets superpowers, and then the 5th one, it takes it away. And he's like, fuck!
I don't know. Personally, after being struck that many times and surviving, I'd call him pretty damn lucky.
Yeah, I mean, I
wouldn't say most unlucky. Right.
It's ridiculous.
So, why Sullivan was such a good conductor, we don't know. The vast majority of people will go their entire lives without encountering a single lightning strike.
Right.
In fact, the odds of ever being struck are just 1 in 3,000.
We are water bags, though.
To be struck over half a dozen times is so unlikely, it's almost ludicrous.
Right.
Sullivan survived being struck by lightning again and again, and unfortunately being love-struck led him to his end. It is reported he took his own life after being rejected by a woman.
Oh, well, that's too
So he
bad.
got struck 7 times by lightning, but it was a woman who took him out.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
A lot of guys can relate to that. I'm sure a lot of ladies can relate to that, too. Just makes sense. And I'm pretty sure after being hit by lightning 3 or 4 times, people stop hanging out with you.
File number 4. What the fuck's going on with these fish?
The fish frozen in time. Imagine taking a relaxing walk along the beach and finding frozen fish mid-leap in a vertical ice wave.
Yikes.
Okay, so I saw this photo, and it was intense.
So, wait a minute. You're saying jumping into the water and then you land on a block of ice?
No, these fish were literally frozen solid into clear ice.
That's so weird.
And it was shaped like a wave. It was fucking crazy. It was a chunky wave, but you could see them. They looked like they were mid-jump, mid-swim.
Weird.
And they were frozen solid.
Wow.
So the photo was insane. And it looks like the Snow Queen had walked by and was really pissed off and just turned the lake to ice. I don't know if you remember that movie, Frozen. Anyways, Let it go.
Let it go. Fucking Olaf.
Kindergarten teacher and amateur photographer Kelly Priam was walking by South Dakota's Lake Andes National Refuge, Wildlife Refuge, in March of 2015 when she snapped the picture. She waited 2 years to share it online, but when she did, people were fucking horrified. When speaking to news publications, she said that there were thousands of frozen fish on the beach. What caused this?
It's a new miracle Jesus has been working on. He's trying to get all the kinks out of it.
Well, the theory is that a heavy snowfall covered the surface of the frozen lake and prevented sunlight from getting down below the water.
Also time travel.
This in turn disrupted photosynthesis for algae and other water plants, which meant that the fish suffocated from the lack of oxygen.
Maybe God was mad at those fish.
How they ended up in the ice wave formation when the photograph was taken is a much bigger mystery.
Right, because they were moving around. They didn't die.
That's the weird thing.
Yeah, I want to see it now.
Yeah, you can look up the photo in just look up South Dakota, frozen fish.
Maybe I will.
Lake Andes, I believe, and you'll see it. It's crazy.
Right, but there's a good explanation for why it happened. The suffocation by snow, and or they pissed off Jesus.
But that doesn't explain the positioning the fish are in. I mean, you would think if fish die, they're just going to like
Float
keel
to the
over
top.
and float.
Yeah.
These fish literally were like It looks like suspended animation.
Right, like like one of those things you'd make in school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just crazy.
File number 5, loud sky tootin'.
The trumpets in the sky. Trumpets are a phenomenon that have occurred across the world. People from Canada, Germany, Sweden, the UK, the US, and Australia have all reported hearing trumpet-like sounds in the air.
Even our little Spokane.
In Gothenburg, one concerned citizen recorded the phenomena and uploaded the video to YouTube in 2018, where it amassed over 100,000 views. The trumpets sound like a bad day at band practice, and as of yet, nobody can explain what they are or where they might be coming from. Some people think that they are the biblical 7 trumpets of the apocalypse, and others think their alien sounds come from space.
Duh.
But Zach and I actually heard these sounds on December 14th of 2016.
It sounded like dump trucks to me.
Yeah, see, and it was just after midnight, and I think maybe even 1 in the morning, but I could hear this odd screeching sound outside, but it was weird. At first, I thought it was like an ice cream truck.
Creepy.
Is what it sounded, because it was close to, but it was close to Christmas time too. So I'm like, is some fucking dipshit rolling around in their car with Christmas music? What is that?
Blaring. Bing Crosby, bitches.
Then, as I listened, it just became, I don't know. Then it sounded like somebody was literally, I thought saxophone.
Right.
I thought someone was blasting a saxophone.
It sounded like people were literally dropping dump trucks and they were scraping on the ground to me.
Oh, see,
with,
and I
with
heard...
With little horn noises, too.
And I had just heard, because I even said to you, do you hear that? It sounds like somebody's practicing a fucking saxophone.
Right, yeah.
Out on their back patio. That's what my brain heard.
Right, and a lot of people
saxophone.
heard it in Spokane. It was
screeching saxophone sounds, yeah. But then as I listened closer, I thought they were out there practicing saxophone or trumpet after having too many whiskeys.
Like me last night.
But it was so loud they would have to be standing outside at the time, and it was 2 degrees.
Right.
So we checked out the temperature, and I was like, okay, somebody is stupid. So later on the news, they tried to tell us it was road graders plowing snow.
Yeah.
And
but it sounded like they were dropping them on the earth from hundreds of feet in the air or thousands of feet in the air.
Yeah, it definitely didn't sound like. But anyway, maybe so. But that's not all what it sounded like to me. I've actually looked up other occurrences online and found videos of the exact sounds I heard. I was so excited to find exactly what I heard. One video was a cell phone recording of the exact sounds, but they were in Australia and around 2 p.m. in July, and the sun was shining. So it was no road graders there. Right.
I remember looking into this a little bit, and there's a movie where they have this, they play this sound, and it's like the trumpets, and the people, I can't remember the movie very well. I think I saw it, but they tricked the people into thinking that it was the end of days, but they played the sound. And I think in some of these things, like some of the videos that have gone viral, and this is several years ago, people messed with that sound, where they took that sound from the movie and they fucked with people like they did in the movie, kind of copycat style. And then there was there's some interesting stuff to it. I'm not sure.
So does somebody driving around in their car with that sound blasting?
I have no idea
all
how
over
you would do that.
Spokane Valley?
Not Spokane. I mean, I wouldn't imagine that we would be a target. People tend to stay away from Spokane.
We heard it.
We sure did.
But I find it very interesting. You heard dump trucks falling from the sky, and that is not at all what I heard.
No, I heard.
And we were in the same room.
But it was a weird. It was a weird event. But I might be confusing a different event.
Very
I don't
weird.
know. Yeah, it is weird that both of us heard different things.
Yeah,
it is kind of strange.
I don't know if that's strange. Next one.
File number 6. Aliens attack America?
Battle of Los Angeles. Boom. Yeah, this one I think we're going to do as an actual episode eventually in the future.
Yeah.
But I'm just going to touch on it today. Okay. One of the strangest events in American history took place on the evening of February 24th, 1942, and lasted until the early hours of the next day. The mysterious event took place amid the Second World War. At the time, the United States had just entered into war with Japan following the surprise attack on Pearl Harbor. Tensions were running high, and naval intelligence issued a warning that an attack was imminent. That night, flares and blinking lights had been seen in the sky, causing air raid sirens to sound.
Creepy.
A total blackout of the city was ordered, and the United States military started shooting at the objects and lights in the sky.
Welcome to Earth, motherfucker!
The strange thing is nothing came down. There were no shots fired at the defending military, and no aircraft were taken down by American bullets.
But there were a ton of freaked out dogs.
The incident was front page news, and then the next day it was all declared a false alarm.
Yeah, disregard all that shit we did last night.
A lot of people accuse the U.S. government of hushing up the news for one reason or another.
Oh, that's just...
The strangest thing of all is that there were hundreds of witnesses who claimed to have seen the lights that night, including military members who were adamant that they shot at aircraft.
Right.
So it's fascinating.
But it's tough with just eyewitness stuff. I mean, there's a really famous photo of that time, too, which doesn't show a craft either. It just shows a bunch of things where it
smoky, cloudy.
Yeah, it shows in spotlights and stuff, and it shows where they think something is.
Right.
And, I know a little bit about that one. And during Time Suck times, people voted that one up pretty high. It was almost voted to the top a couple times. But Dan and I discussed it, and it's like there probably is a ton of stuff on it, but there's not that much to it as far as meat, because really there was a lot of things like that kind of happen where people just start thinking something. It's kind of like the War of the Worlds, the radio program when what's his name, Orson Welles.
Yeah.
When he did his really well done what
audio,
we do on Skatcast,
audio theater. People believed it.
He's my heroes, and people believed it, and they were shooting at water towers, believing it was these invaders and the moon and shit like that, and maybe more like that than anything else. But I think that's why there's not enough for a 2.5 hour Time Suck. That's
right.
For sure.
Well, we could probably. I mean, we can cover it. I'd love to.
I'd like
dig
to
into it.
I would too. It's interesting to me. Yeah.
Maybe we can do a dual research project.
Okay.
Both of us could do it. Okay. That would be fun.
I'm down.
It's a weird date.
File number 7. Do those clouds look like a city to you? Shit.
All right, so next is the city in the sky.
The sci-fi dork in me loves all those words together.
This kind of leads us into our topic of parallel universes. So
prepare yourself accordingly.
In October 2015, something deeply mysterious was seen in the clouds over the Chinese city of Fushan. Looking up into the sky, hundreds of people reported seeing a city rising in the mist and clouds. Video evidence of the phenomena was recorded and uploaded to YouTube and was shared all over Chinese news outlets. There were lots of theories as to what the city in the sky might be. Some say it was evidence of a parallel universe. Some thought it was some kind of religious second coming, and some even pointed out they blamed NASA for projecting holograms into the sky, which I thought was kind of interesting because this was China.
Right. Well, that doesn't sound far from something the United States government would do.
It turns out that it was likely a mirage called Veda Morgana. This happens when light rays are bent by dense air in warm conditions, causing a reflection of the surrounding area. Whatever it was certainly very weird, and a similar incident took place in another Chinese city just 2 years later.
Cool.
Coincidence?
Absolutely.
Or a sign?
Certainly not. Well, you saw a video of this. Why don't you think it's a city in the sky?
I saw pictures. I saw videos. And it was fascinating. It was really interesting. But nobody showed the city that they were standing in on their cell phone. I wanted someone to tilt their camera down.
Right.
Away from the zoomed in city in the sky so I could see what was on the ground, see if it was a reflection.
Mirrored. Exactly.
Right.
I bet it is.
It was
everything on that.
It was insane. It was just buildings. So it looked like it was a reflection, but
nature's crazy like
it's
that.
amazing when you think about it.
It sucks how quickly we just take massive leaps, though.
Sire, that cloud looks like a kingdom in the sky. I see. Let's kill all the firstborn and the virgins too, just to be safe.
And then the masses, all joined together.
Right. I do find it miraculous and fascinating that something like that could happen. I mean, that the sky could turn into a mirror. That is...
Yeah, the fucking Matrix is fucking up again. Get down there and fix that shit.
By itself.
That's some realm Earth shit right there. That's realm as fuck. That's totally evidence of a realm.
Right.
And with that, here's our main focus for today, the staircase in the woods.
Main file number 8. Are bears building shit in the forest?
Every year, millions of people flock to national parks in the United States for various reasons. Some of these people are seeking the adrenaline rush that only Mother Nature can provide. They want to scale Half Dome at the eastern end of Yosemite National Park, or maybe sandboard on the great sand dunes of Colorado. Others are looking for a way to get closer to nature and find peace in their souls without the incessant buzzing of cell phone notifications. I fucking hear them.
For that.
Usually, gaining entrance into one of these huge parks will only run you a couple of bucks. And with 58 parks located in 27 states, most of us live within driving distance of at least one or two. With so many people visiting these areas day after day, they have stories to tell of beautiful scenery and amazing natural wonders, but many of these visitors have also reported experiencing some incredibly creepy and near unbelievable things as well.
Makes you want to pack up the kids right now.
Hurry up, kids, we're going creepy camping.
Campers have reported hearing strange noises floating through the trees after dark, disembodied voices, blood-curdling screams, the sound of drums, even whistling, but there were no other souls around for miles.
Yeah, hippies can hide. Hippies are good at just being, they just jump out of the trees. They blend in. I mean, they leave a little garbage behind, but they blend in. So I that would be hippies, I think, with the drums. For sure. The drums. Probably, they also like those fucking, the instruments that you're like, why are you fucking playing that? It's like, what kind of flute is that? Get that out of my face.
Just calm down, dude.
Bigfoot, aliens, animals behaving strangely, dark figures, regulars and first-timers alike have their fair share of strange and unusual phenomena to report.
That's a pretty good PR campaign for the national park system.
Not to mention the massive amount of people who vanish in national parks every year and they're never heard from again.
Okay, that one's less good of a PR campaign. All right, there's a big list of those.
Yes.
Folks. Crazy.
So
but they mainly just fall into precipices. Precipi? It's mainly just that. They're like, hey, check out this mine shaft. It's like, dude, come on. There's nothing in the mine shaft that's worth dying for. Dumb fucking guy. Anyway, sorry to you if you lost someone that fell into a mine shaft. Oh.
Today, we barely touch on the tip of the iceberg of the creepy things that we can find in these national parks, and we have to decide, is this strange and unusual or just completely unbelievable?
Or is the government just putting PCP in all the campers' water? Because why the fuck not? I don't know. Do you know what kind of dumb shit they spend money on?
Stay focused, dude.
All right, so let's dig deep into this fucking stairs in the woods shit.
Yes.
I think it's government Illuminati conspiracy.
I'm
for
sure, Angus.
Okay.
Stories of the stairway of the thing in the forest to Smokey the Bear's house. I don't know.
In 2015, a Reddit thread popped up on the internet allegedly written by a search and rescue officer who was working for the National Park Services.
Illuminati confirmed.
This person wrote about a variety of strange tales, things that had been seen and heard while out in the wilderness searching for lost people.
And his paperback book on the subject is called God Damn, There's a Lot of People in the Woods That Aren't Lost Having Sex.
And while all of these stories contained elements of the mysterious, it was the last story that seemed to catch the attention of most people. The original poster wrote, and I quote, "This is the last one I'll tell, and it's probably the weirdest story I have." Now, I don't know if this is true in every SAR unit, but in mine, it's sort of an unspoken normal thing we run into. You can try asking about it with other SAR officers, but even if they know what you're talking about, they probably won't say anything about it. We've been told not to talk about it by our superiors, and at this point, we've all gotten used to it.
Oh, they're getting all jaded at the Park Service.
It doesn't even seem weird anymore. On just about every case where we're really far in the wilderness, I'm talking 30 to 40 miles, at some point, we find a staircase out in the middle of the woods. It's almost like you took the stairs in your house, cut them out, and just put them in the forest. I asked about it the first time I saw some, and the other officer just told me not to worry about it and that it was normal.
Oh, yeah, the stairs. Oh, Satanists use it every Saturday about 9:30. It's pretty fun. Oh. And then every 2 or 3 equinoxes, you'll see the aliens and the Sasquatch use it, and they'll meet, and it'll fucking really weird. No big deal.
Everyone I asked said the same thing. I wanted to go check them out, but I was told very emphatically that I should never go near any of them. I just sort of ignore them now when I run into them because it happens so frequently. End quote. The original poster also claimed that one of his coworkers had seen a staircase that was flipped upside down in the woods. He said, quote, "I guess it would be like if you had a dollhouse and the stairs were a separate piece. Now take that, flip it upside down so the top step is stuck in the dirt, and put it out in the woods."
Maybe it's the stairway to heaven, though.
End quote.
Maybe that's what it is. There's a lady who knows all that glitters is gold.
Get it, honey.
And there's some bullshit in the forest for some ranger guy to find. Sorry.
At first glance, or upon first read, the Reddit's poster's claims, while incredibly spooky, seem to be ridiculous and completely fabricated. However, there have been reports for years of people coming across these structures in the woods, and there are even pictures to corroborate some of their stories.
Yeah, they just look like stairs to me, Bob.
Well, you can't see it, but they're magic stairs, dude. They fucking do magic shit.
Well, they just look like normal stairs, Bob.
These mysterious staircases have been spotted in at least 7 countries, and they share a lot of similarities. They're all made from different types of materials, from stone to brick to wood. Some of them are intricate, while some are plain.
And through some damn miracle of the Lord, they're all stair-shaped.
Some are spiral staircases, while some travel straight up into the sky with no destination in sight.
There's a feeling she gets when she looks at some stairs, and she's wondering why stairs are in the forest where bears live.
Most of these staircases are found in national parks away from any form of civilization and in areas where people have never been known to live. There are even a few instances of these stairs being built over bodies of water, like lakes. And while the staircases are in all different states of decay and deterioration, they're usually reported as being free from vegetation and very clean, considering their location in the middle of the woods. Those who've come across the staircases say that their stairs leading up are free from dust, dirt, and vegetation. They're sometimes found near cemeteries or burial grounds, and the wildlife of the area seems to avoid these staircases like the plague. Many times there is no sign of any other structure being built around the stairs. No basement, no cellar, no crumbling foundation, nothing. Just a staircase in the middle of the trees leading up to nothing.
There's a feeling I get when I look at the stairs.
At least nothing that we can see. Underneath this post, many others commented to also share their own first-hand experiences.
Fuck, I made a little song about it.
When as I walk upon the stairs, I keep an eye out for some bears. I wonder who put these fucking stairs where there are so many bears. Probably the sky.
Sorry about that.
This is where, there were hundreds of these.
Right.
One Reddit user replied, and I've got quotes of these. So, quote, I live in Wisconsin. I've only seen one staircase like this, and when we went to it, everything just felt off. Like we didn't feel scared, but we felt unwelcome, like we shouldn't be on the stairs. It was very weird for the middle of the day.
Well, you're hanging out where bears live, and that should feel weird to you.
Nice and sunny, feeling dread, like if we didn't leave by our own accord,
we'd probably become bear poop soon.
Something would make us leave. End quote.
Like bigger, scarier stairs?
I guess. I don't know. Protecting the little stairs from the humans.
Save you, little stairs.
Another user also replied, writing, quote, how about that? I didn't realize the stairs were that common. Came across a set in rural West Virginia.
Holy fuck, I also found some stairs in a place no one cares about. It's West Virginia.
I don't think it was quite 40 miles deep, but at least 10 or better. I thought maybe a house had stood there, but there was no cellar or other debris that would indicate a home was there before. Just a set of stairs.
Rude.
With a base that went up one flight, 16 steps, if I remember right, and sturdy. Could barely shake them. I didn't climb up, though, worried it might break and fall over, and I was alone. End quote. Another reader online said, quote, wow, lone stairs in the woods are a thing from where I came from.
It was them Hollywood cunts that put them up there.
But we know that we shouldn't go near them and avoid them when we run into one. That's what I've been told by my family, like everybody else in my country, for generations. I suggest you listen to your superiors and not even talk about the stairs. It gives me the chills even when I'm writing about them here. End quote.
I wonder what they think about escalators.
So a man who wrote an article for a travel magazine in 2019 reported that he was hiking through some isolated woods with some friends when a 5-year-old boy who was with them ran ahead, and when they finally caught up with the boy, he was sitting on a staircase that led to nowhere. The writer, Matt, claims that as the rest of the group approached the stairs, they felt they were almost being drawn towards the staircase.
Oh, come on.
But when they got close enough to actually step onto the stairs, the 5-year-old boy jumped off the stairs and immediately insisted that they needed to go.
Kids got video games at home.
For the rest of the day, this little boy was quiet and behaving oddly, and when he was asked if everything was all right, he told the group that he was with that when he'd come across the stairs in the woods, he felt this energy or force that seemed to be compelling him towards the strange structure.
And the group named Billy their child emperor that day, thus forming the religion of Billianity and, of course, leading to the deaths of millions of people.
He claimed that in that moment, everything else melted away, and all he could see was a staircase looming in front of him. There are many well-known stories of staircases like these in the woods. Some seem to be explainable while others are not.
People should try harder.
In the forests of France, there can be found a beautiful and intricate spiral staircase built around one lone tree. It's clear by looking at the staircase that whoever constructed it had great skill in woodworking.
Probably an elf. Led to a factory for making cookies.
And they put a lot of time, care, and effort into it. Yet, at the top, there's no platform, no treehouse, no clear reason why the staircase would have been built there.
A very bad carpenter elf.
And then abandoned and not used, and no one has ever returned to it or claimed credit for its construction.
In all seriousness, though, it's probably safe to say that aliens built it.
Historically, there have been reports from a man who claims to have worked as an infectious disease expert for the CDC in 1940s. He alleged that after the Roswell, New Mexico crash, multiple reports of animal mutilations began to surface, and the CDC was brought in to investigate.
And also old-timey Batman.
The researchers and investigators
and old-timey Batman
had only planned to be in Roswell for a few short months tops, but the investigation ended up taking over 6 months in the forested areas around Roswell.
Weird, I didn't know that.
Various people had reported seeing a set of wooden steps that were giving off some sort of frequency, which caused everyone nearby to feel off balance and uneasy.
Gotta check that space for radon.
A number of campers had come upon these steps, and not knowing what they were and not feeling too suspicious, they made their campsite about 100 feet from them.
And that night was when the werewolves came.
The next morning, when they woke up,
werewolf carnage.
The campers discovered that the steps had somehow moved during the night.
Werewolves can move steps.
And on the spot where the stairs had previously been, the ground appeared black and charred as if it had been burnt somehow.
Werewolf poop is flammable.
Over the next 2 days and nights, the staircase continued to disappear and then reappear several feet away from its previous location. And 6 days later, the stairs vanished again, but they never reappeared.
Also, they were on mescaline.
Right before this, investigators from the CDC had been called in, and they had attempted to chip a piece of wood off the staircase for testing, but they claimed the wood was as hard as steel, and they were unable to get a piece of it for testing. The investigators did determine that there was some sort of frequency emitting from the stairs.
Then the drugs ran out.
Before they vanished for good.
Because the drugs ran out.
But they could never figure out who was sending it or who was receiving it.
That sounds like some Stargate shit right
there.
Right,
isn't it sound weird?
So then they messed with it a little bit more, and then it opened up, and some Egyptian god-looking guy came down and beat the shit out of them.
Yeah, there you go. Ra came down and ate them.
Yeah, Kurt Russell and the guy who played MacGyver were both there.
Another story involves two friends from Sweden named Axel and Isaac.
'Cause all we need is just a little staircase. Yeah.
The two young men were out hiking in the woods, and they'd been walking for a few miles when they entered a clearing. In the center of that clearing, they saw a large staircase that apparently led to nowhere. Axel immediately felt uneasy.
Axel's feeling just a little bit uneasy. 'Cause bears are out here.
And he began to back away, but Isaac was intrigued, and he decided to climb the stairs to see where they led.
Axel was like,
"You in the jungle, baby? You're gonna die!"
As soon as Isaac's foot touched the top stair, both men heard what they described as a loud, piercing scream that terrified the shit out of them, and they began to run.
And Axel pushed his friend Isaac down so the bear would eat him. Yeah.
There's not even a bear. Oh, there's always a bear in the woods.
With Isaac close behind him, Axel continued to run through the woods, hearing the gasping breaths of his friend behind him. And when he felt that he had run far enough, Axel stopped to catch his breath. As he stood there,
he wrote the song November Rain.
And as he stood there, hands on his thighs, gulping for breath, Axel could feel the cold grip of a hand on his shoulder, and thinking that it was his friend Isaac, he turned around, but there was no one standing anywhere near him.
You're in the jungle, baby.
Isaac was also there gasping for breath, but he was several feet away, too far to have reached out and placed his hand on Axel's shoulder. Later, Axel would tell people that he was sure there had been a third person or presence with him in the woods that day, and whoever or whatever it was,
Illuminati aliens,
had a touch as cold as ice.
It's probably Slash.
Probably.
Doing a concert for the Illuminati out in the woods.
In another story, a ranger named Torek was traveling through the jungle in the Philippines searching for a couple of tourists who had wandered off the trails, and while he was searching, he came across two abandoned staircases amongst the trees. He said that the staircases were made out of stone, and they looked sturdy enough, so Torek climbed one of them, hoping to get a better view over the dense foliage around him, and hopefully locate the people that he was looking for. As he was climbing the stairs, Torek claims that an aggressive dog emerged from the trees and approached the base of the staircase, and this dog began growling at him and pacing around as if he was waiting for Torek to come down so he could attack him. Torek claimed the dog stalked him for a few hours before finally moving on.
If only he had brought sausages.
Allowing Torek to come down the stairs and safely return to the ranger station where he was employed. But when he arrived...
More fucking werewolves.
He was stunned when he was informed that he was no longer employed there. Torek claims to have been in the jungle for several hours, but about half the day. But his superior told him that he had not been seen in 5 years.
Fuck. That's one that gave me goosebumps when you told it to me earlier. 5 years.
5 years he was missing.
So it was a Stargate. He just doesn't remember going to the planet Ra and having fun fighting aliens and stuff.
There are obviously many theories about what these staircases are and why they have been seemingly...
No, it's a Stargate. I think I solved it. Stargate.
And why have they been seemingly dropped in the middle of nowhere? The theories range from thought-provoking to terrifying to completely illogical to somewhat logical, but none of them have been able to actually explain the presence of these staircases, at least not all the staircases.
Just the ones that anyone's tried to, because they're staircases. I mean, Sasquatch Illuminati aliens.
One of the most popular theories, and in my opinion the most interesting,
werewolves,
is that these staircases lead to yet another dimension and parallel universe.
So they're not really Stargates, they're parallel universe gates. Okay. I like it. Can there be werewolves?
Well, for some reason today...
Somebody write that series. I'll watch fucking 10 seasons of it.
For some reason today, I'm having an issue with L's. So we're talking about parallel universes. So bear with me if I trip over my L's.
I refuse to do any more things with bears.
This may sound like something ripped straight out of a very creatively written science fiction novel, but in recent years, there's been some true scientific evidence which points to the probability of these alternate realities.
Also known as Marvel movies.
The multiverse is a theory in which the universe that we inhabit is not the only one. This idea has actually been around for a very long time. Hugh Everett was a brilliant mathematician and quantum theorist who believed that the space outside of Earth and outside of our own galaxy was large and most likely infinite. He also believed that this infinite space was home to many universes that lay parallel to each other.
So he was burned and then hung for being a witch.
When Everett was a student at Princeton University, he and two of his classmates were drinking and talking about scientific stuff that I likely will never be able to understand, even if I was completely sober. And I can say for certain that the things that these Princeton students were talking about likely are way out of my league of understanding, but I will do my best to explain them to you. Yeah. And I'm sure there are people out there who have probably majored in these things, who have studied these things for years. I have not.
We'd love to hear from you.
Yes, absolutely. I'd like to hear. It took me a long time just to be able to explain what snippet that I have here, and I sure hope it makes sense.
Yeah, I did the research, the initial research for the multiverse suck and time travel, which kind of falls into some of this stuff.
Time suck name drop.
And yeah, I mean, it's very complex, and having to do it, I had a week to kind of crash course it, and you've had less than a week to crash course it. But let's learn a little bit about it.
Well, I'm honestly not the best with mathematical equations and stuff like that, so I've not officially studied this stuff, but I have spent several years reading into it every chance I get. So, Everett challenged the accepted science of the time, and the best ones always do.
That's how you do science.
Yep. If no one ever challenged the accepted science of the time, we'd still be walking around thinking the Earth was flat.
It's not.
Which... Well, some people do, no judgment, but some people still do think that the Earth is flat.
Yeah, it's realm shit.
It's not. It's a realm.
It's a realm.
Absolutely. The Copenhagen Interpretation was the first attempt to understand the world of atoms, and it was first proposed by physicist Niels Bohr in 1920, and the basic premise claims that a quantum particle doesn't exist in one state or another, but in all possible states at once.
Wave and particle.
Yes, it's only when we observe the state that a quantum particle is forced to choose one probability, and that is the state that we observe.
That son of a bitch.
Isn't that...
We're a son of a bitch for that.
Okay,
maybe they're the son of a bitch. Who's the dipshit here now? I don't know.
Okay, so let's rewind really quick.
Okay.
What is a quantum particle? Just so we understand. The idea that everything is made of tiny, invisible particles originated with a Greek philosopher, Leucippus, in 5th century BC. He proposed that atoms are too small for humans to see. They're infinite, and they come in many varieties. Even though we can't see these tiny atoms, we see the products of them colliding together and creating something that can be seen, like desks and computers and coffee cups.
Available now at Skatcast.com.
Quantum physics describes the smallest things in our universe, like molecules, atoms, electrons, protons, neutrons,
Megatrons.
etc. Our bodies, our pets, our furniture, the trees,
A bucket of whale sperm.
the mug of coffee you're drinking from, it's all made from quantum physics.
Better make sure there's not any whale sperm in it.
The universe is random, and we can't know anything is going to happen. We can only predict it using something called wave function, which you're going to have to depend on someone far smarter than myself to explain, because I don't fucking get it. But
Wouldn't be me either.
Niels Bohr's Copenhagen interpretation was theoretically proven by Viennese physicist Erwin Schrödinger in 1935, and he did this by theoretically putting a cat inside a box with radioactive material and a Geiger counter, which would trigger a hammer that would break a bottle inside the box that contained a poison.
He didn't actually do this to a cat. This is theoretically.
Theoretically, yes. So
I love how Wile E. Coyote it is.
this is the whole Schrodinger's cat.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he bought all his materials from Acme.
The way it would work is that when the Geiger counter sensed that there was a decay in the radioactive material that was in the box with the cat, it would cause the hammer to break the bottle, which would then kill the cat.
Not a real cat.
With the poison that was in the bottle.
Right.
Now, when the cat is in the box,
Not a real cat or box.
it existed in an unknowable state since it's not being observed.
Right.
Which meant it could not be said whether the cat was alive or dead. The cat's fate was tied to a random event that may or may not occur. Okay? So Hugh Everett looked at this and said, okay, what if this equation applies to everything and not just objects being observed, but the objects we can observe and the observers as well?
Whoa, you just plastic explosive my third eye open, bro.
That would mean that the universal wave function would contain branches for every alternative scenario for every person, animal, or object in the universe.
You want to stop and do a dab real quick, dude?
Branches that act independently from each other and don't influence each other. They just journey on towards a different future. To put it simply, there could be an unknown number of yous out there making all different choices and doing different things that propel them forward towards different lives.
As seen on the 80s TV show with Scott Bakula, Quantum Leap.
The leading scientific minds of the day recoiled from this theory. They could not accept that every decision we make might create a new universe for all possible outcomes.
It does sound pretty far-fetched.
It does, right? It's theoretical physics.
Nerd porn.
Max Tegmark, a professor at MIT, has put forth the idea that there are 4 distinct types of parallel universes, and I'm going to focus on only one in this episode because that's not why you're listening.
Right.
But we're talking about type 3 parallel universe. This is the one that we're probably the most familiar with from sci-fi books and movies. It's basically a mirrored universe. The many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics says that for every possible quantum option, there's another universe in which that option is realized.
Right.
So if you're looking for a new job and you get 2 job offers, one from Starbucks and one from Jacob's Java, you might choose to work at Starbucks, and that would be a good choice. But another you chooses to work at Jacob's Java. Crazy, right? Okay, so bear with me. Think about all the decisions that you've encountered throughout your life. Simple decisions like, do I put on the blue coat today or the black coat?
Always the black coat.
There's a universe out there where another you is wearing the coat that you didn't choose.
I fucking hate that guy. He sucks.
But obviously this applies to bigger life decisions.
Well, I already don't trust Blue Coat Zach with any of that.
So, like, let's just say you come to a fork in your life and you're like, do I focus on my career or do I start a family?
Fuck them kids.
The you in this universe decides to start a family.
Damn it, me.
And at that point, another universe is created with you who chooses to not have children.
Oh, I see. The blue coat cunt is following his dreams, huh?
And not start a family and focus on their career.
Now I really hate him.
That's what this theory is hypothesizing.
That's crazy to me.
We've seen a lot of movies where this whole premise is played out, and they don't necessarily say like, oh, this is about multiverse or this is about parallel universes, but that's basically...
Fucking Donnie Darko, bro.
That's
Jesus.
basically what it's like.
Tell me if you understand that movie.
So over 13 billion years ago, everything was an infinite singularity. So the universe that we know began as an infinitely hot and dense single point before it burst into action inflating and stretching, at first incredibly fast, but then it slowed down, and it continued to expand to this day. As a consequence of this growth and what they call inflation,
not to be confused with the expanse of the money supply, the price of government, if you will,
a massive fireball made of matter and radiation formed, creating atoms, molecules, stars, galaxies, and planets. And we know of this as the Big Bang Theory.
Right.
Now,
and it's a scientific theory, which means it's our best explanation of what we think is true.
I'm not saying that you have to believe it. I know there are people out there that are religious and they believe in, the God created the world and all that.
You could have used the Big Bang, though. Some religious people reconcile that.
Do they?
Yeah,
okay. And I'm not saying that they're wrong, and I'm not saying the Big Bang Theory is right or wrong either.
I will. The Big Bang is the furthest away from wrong that we know of.
There is scientific evidence that the Big Bang Theory, and if we go along with this theory,
I would go along with it.
Right? The process of inflation and the Big Bang may have led many scientists to feel that multiple universes are not only possible, but probable.
Right.
Okay, so
we can still stop Skynet, but we shouldn't.
All right. I think we made it through the scientific aspects. Hopefully that was clear.
I think so.
I think I did my best to write that one out and make it clear.
Well done.
Cosmic inflation.
Crash course in brain
Cosmic inflation may have ended in our tiny little galaxy, but it continues on in other places. And when that inflation ends in a certain place, a new universe forms. That's the theory. Now, obviously, this was an incredibly dumbed-down synopsis of many extremely complicated scientific theories, but hopefully it does give us an idea of how something like this might be possible.
Why there's stairs in the woods.
And considering how little we know about what's going on outside of our very small solar system, I'm not dismissing it.
I'm gonna.
Not at all.
Fuck yeah, I will.
These are some of my favorite things to think about and contemplate.
Yeah, it's interesting as hell.
But the next obvious question to me is, are we able to communicate with these other universes or see proof of their existence on our own plane?
No.
Some people argue that there is proof that these realities sometimes overlap.
And those people are called hippies on peyote.
So the next connected piece is the Mandela Effect. And I'm going to kind of plod my way through this one. So, okay. The Mandela Effect is described as the collective misremembering of common events or details, because in each universe, alternate versions of events and objects exist. So, Nelson Mandela, who this Mandela Effect was named for, he died in 2013. And when he died, there was a whole group of people out there like, whoa, wait, no, because they remember him dying in prison.
In the
80s.
After getting out of prison.
They remembered like news articles and shit.
But he actually was released, and that was a big deal.
They were
thinking a long time in prison, yeah.
They were thinking this whole time that he was dead. And then when they saw in the news that he was actually dead in 2013, they were like, what the fuck? Mm-hmm. Okay, so, and remember the peanut butter brand Jiffy?
Yeah.
Well, if you do, you're experiencing the Mandela Effect, because there never was a Jiffy peanut butter. The actual name of the peanut butter is Jif, but maybe in another universe, they're putting Jiffy peanut butter on their PB&Js as we speak.
There's not one single thing that ever said Jiffy on it? How dare they?
No. That's...
Is Jiffy Pop? No, I do believe it. I know that it's only Jif. I've seen that one. And Berenstain Bears. Bears.
So now that was the other one that I took that one out. I mean, yeah, but yeah, there was another one.
Which one it is.
It's I guess it's the Berenstain.
Okay.
Stain, not Steen.
All right. Fuck bears.
I think is what it was. Now, obviously, doctors and scientists claim to have a reasonable explanation for this. They say it's confabulation, according to this article that I read. Confabulation is honest lying. A person creates a false memory without intending to lie or deceive others. Instead, they're attempting to fill in gaps in their own memory. And while this is reasonable enough, I like to attribute these thousands of examples of the Mandela Effect to the existence of parallel universes, because that's way more cool than confabulation.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's not that we're stupid, dumb monkeys. It's, magic shit.
Okay, so the next question to me, obviously, is, could we possibly and accidentally enter one of these parallel universes? And that's where we're going to start tying this in here.
Okay. This ties into the stairs, folks.
It does. Some people believe we can, and some people have even claimed to have done so. One of the most interesting first-hand accounts I read about this phenomena is the case of Lorena Garcia, a 41-year-old woman who claimed that in 2008 she woke up one morning in an alternate reality of her life.
I've been there.
The strangeness began when she noticed small details in her home that seemed different.
Like all the werewolves everywhere.
The sheets on her bed were different than the ones she'd gone to sleep on the night before. And when she went down to the private parking lot where her vehicle was always parked, the lot wasn't even there.
Good party, bro.
When she finally found her car parked across the street, Lena drove to the job that she'd worked at for 20 years. But when she reached her office door, her name was not on the door. It was someone else's name.
Kyle the werewolf.
It turned out that in this reality,
werewolves can hold down jobs.
She still worked in the same building, but in a different department. At this point, Lena lost it, understandably, and she went to the doctor thinking she was crazy. Her test came back negative for drugs and alcohol.
I was going to say, the doctor's like,
okay, the first thing you want to do is
right.
want to lay off the meth, okay?
She was talked to by psychiatrists, and she had no diagnosable mental health illness. But Lena still insisted that things about this life were different than the life she'd been living for the past 41 years. She was in a relationship with a man she'd broke up with 6 months prior. And the man she'd been seeing for 4 months, he seemed to not even exist, even after she hired a private investigator to track him down.
Shit.
The PI came back and was like, I don't know who this person is. I can't find him anywhere.
It was the boyfriend that she broke up with 6 months before. He did some sort of magic shit.
Did he?
He manipulated some sort of matter. I don't know.
Potions. In her account, Lena said, quote, "My own family does not remember things like an operation my sister had on her shoulder a couple months ago.
Illuminati confirmed.
Unfortunately, I do not remember many important things about television news, but the rest of the world seems to be the same." End quote. So, Lena's first language is Spanish. So the English translation of what she said is obviously a little off. I think she meant that she didn't remember things about current events, things that were happening in the news, things that were happening in the world. They weren't happening in the life that she'd been previously living.
Right.
There's even some theories that you may be traveling or visiting a parallel universe every day and you don't even know it.
Like when you're sleeping?
Well, for instance, when you go to find something that you're sure you left in one place and it's not there, you may be experiencing a parallel universe.
Fuck.
When you are sure that you bought that pair of shoes a couple months ago, but now you can't find them in your closet, possibly a parallel universe.
I thought it was just dumb.
When you see someone out on the street and you recognize them and you say hi and they don't seem to recognize you, hey,
it's because I'm a werewolf?
Parallel universe.
Oh, yeah. Weird. No. No.
So is it possible that the stairs in the woods, the ones that seem to appear out of nowhere and sometimes disappear as well, they could be glimpses into other universes?
No.
Okay. Well, then we should just end the script right now. Let's just stop talking now.
Let's entertain the idea that that's possible. I like the idea a lot.
They could be actual staircases and actual parallel universe houses, because even though in our universe no one's ever lived in these areas, in other universes, these areas may not be national parks at all.
Think of it like this. It's like, oh, don't go down the stairs. Now, it's not that the stairs are shoddily built. It's that you're walking to another dimension. It happened to the cat last year. We haven't seen it. It came back 6 months later, changed cat, new jujitsu.
In other universes, these areas may not be national parks at all. They could actually be settled areas.
They could be privatized parks.
Is that why when people get close, they feel uneasy or hear sounds that they can't pinpoint where those sounds were coming from?
No.
One of the staircase stories claims that a ranger and his trainee were hiking in the woods when they found themselves at the base of a set of these steps. The trainee then climbed up the steps, even though the ranger was like, "Don't do that.
Hey, dumbass, that's a Stargate."
And when the trainee reached the top of the steps, he put his hand out to grab onto a tree branch for support.
And Kurt Russell pulled him back.
At which point, his hand was sliced off.
Wow.
Cleanly at the wrist.
God, fucking ass.
The wound began to bleed, and he had to be rushed to the hospital. But the strange thing was the hand was never found anywhere. It just disappeared. It could have been
eaten.
Yeah.
I'd probably eat it.
But still, it was never found.
Weird.
This could be attributed to a glitch that happens when two parallel universes overlap.
Okay.
I mean,
it's a Rick and Morty kind of thing.
We're entertaining this.
The portal closed on your arm. Yeah.
Oh, jeez, Rick.
For a brief moment in time, the man himself had not entered the parallel universe, but his hand did.
Whoopsie.
Which caused the hand to remain on the other world while his body stayed in this one. So if you're ever in your house and you're like walking up your stairs or going downstairs and you see like a severed hand sitting at the top of your stairs, don't stress.
It's just dudes.
It wasn't some crazy ass murder that happened. You know, it's not something you can call the police about. It's just somebody accidentally tried to climb your stairs in another universe
Ranger
and
Bob
didn't realize what was going on and his hand got cut off. So no stress.
Just know that the guy attached that used to be attached to that hand, not happy. And also, don't forget, it could be werewolves.
Now, of course, the more reasonable people come in and try and bring logic into this, and they say, listen,
This is dumb.
the stairs in the woods,
There's a lady who
they're there
knows.
because they're just simply left over from homes that once stood there before.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the homes were demolished,
Probably.
or they crumbled due to age and neglect. The staircase is the strongest part of a house, and that's the what's left over when a home is gone.
Right.
So,
once again, Illuminati confirmed, and also aliens.
so they're saying, maybe there's no people who are living there now, but people could have lived there 100 years ago or 200 years ago, and their staircases just stayed, and these people can't explain how these wooden staircases would still be in good condition and not completely rotted.
Good question. But if they're made of
Okay.
stone or something, then that would explain that.
But they also can't explain how many people who have claimed to have seen these staircases in real life say there's no basement, no cellar, no foundation, just staircases. Since I personally have not seen them myself, I can't confirm nor deny these claims, but if it's true, it would suggest that there had never been a house built around the stairs.
Maybe they built the stairs first. And they're like, let's build some kick-ass stairs.
And then just not finish the house.
And then we'll build it out of straw. I don't care.
There'd be some sign that there'd been a house there, not just stairs and grass and trees and stuff.
Right.
I don't know. It's really creepy if it's true. And honestly, I don't know how much I believe this story. Honestly, I really don't.
Right.
There are pictures of some of these alleged stairs that can be found online, and there's thousands upon thousands of personal accounts of people who claim to have seen them.
That 5-year guy, that's fucking nuts.
Isn't that insane?
That was
Or the
nuts.
guy who lost his hand.
Yeah, that's...
Well, it kind of makes me want to go off to my own national park because we have a fuck ton here in Washington
We sure
State.
do. I sure do.
Yeah, let's see if I can find a staircase.
And get your hand cut off?
Part of me wants to do that. Well, not get my hand cut off,
Right.
but I want to kind of go see.
Yeah.
And a part then
she's buying a stick. Sorry.
and then a part of me is like, no, you don't even want to leave your house, much
No,
less go
yeah,
hike
right.
around in the woods. No,
don't
thank
want
you.
that. Plus, there's all the tree jizz in the air.
Well, what I do know is this is so much fun to look into, and I've been able to let my mind roam to all sorts of possibilities, and it's led me to different paths and avenues, and led me to discover and find out such cool things that really didn't even make it into this episode.
As
I mean,
always.
there's all kinds of really cool shit.
Meh, just kidding.
I will say, though, if I'm ever walking in the woods and I come upon one of these staircases,
Check for werewolves.
I'll be completely in awe.
It'd be destiny.
I'll think it's cool as hell,
Right.
but I will not be going anywhere near them just in case. And I would give you the same advice. Stand there, look, say it's cool, take a picture or whatever, but please don't approach the stairs.
I would say
So-
fucking try and take the stairs home with you. Like,
Just-
figure it out.
Just to be on the safe side, So what do you think? What do you think about these stairs? Have you ever seen any of them yourself? Do you think it's just an urban legend run wild, started by someone who was bored and decided to flex her creative writing skills? Or do you think there's something more to it? Something more that meets the eye, maybe? Something strange and unusual?
Do you think it's a Stargate?
I don't know. Let
Put
us
here
know.
by the Illuminati scum?
Let us know.
We'd love to know.
Yes.
All right, now let's do our dipshit meter.
How completely batshit is this?
All right, that was fun. I learned a whole bunch
Did
of
ya?
stuff. Yeah, and man, that story about the guy losing 5 years, what a crazy ass
Isn't that
story.
weird?
And that dog. That
Yep.
dog being symbolism. It was a black dog, right?
It was a
like
black.
that-
Yeah, that's what it says. It was a black dog.
That's crazy.
It's a pretty insane thing, and these stories were so intriguing. The challenge I faced when I was writing this and researching is that it was all first-person accounts. It was all personal
Anecdotal evidence,
experience.
And you can't.
There
give
is
that.
zero proof for any of this
Yeah.
shit.
It sucks.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why even in court, but people are wrong so often. It's like, what color was the car?
I know.
This is
I
life
know.
or death. What color was the car? Blue.
Right.
And you find out, well, it's yellow. And that's fucking not even close to blue, bro. But it's just the way it is. It's all of our brains are like that. We're just not great at those things.
Well, we live on a really strange planet. And the commonality here is it's fucking weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. Things that we just accept as normal, weird. To me, when I really look around, I was like, whoa, I'm blown away.
Our most trusted institutions and structures are really just superstitions a lot of times.
Well,
It's just-
I look around and I'm blown away at just life in general.
Right.
I mean, I have a child who is now an adult.
Right.
But when I think about that, I'm like, whoa, at one point I didn't have a child.
Right.
And my body turned into this thing that brought another human here.
You're a magician.
I turned into a portal.
You did. You portaled a little two beings into the world.
And I pushed a human out of that hole. What the fuck? This
You're
place is fucking weird.
You're a fucking Stargate. That's insane.
And, I don't know. I think maybe my brain just goes off on weird tangents. Just the other day, I was thinking how weird chewing was. So
mastication.
Yeah, it was just very strange and how, I don't know, unpleasant the sounds are. As I was chewing my food and turning my podcast up that I was listening to.
Natural human noises. You're like,
yes,
I don't like natural human noises.
I don't like that. That's weird.
It's fair.
And whoever designed teeth fucked them up because that just sucks. That's part of the reason why I'm having a hard time saying L's. I broke a piece of my tooth off.
Yeah, poor thing.
And it's really sharp on the side, on the inside, next to my tongue. So it's like just this little knife scraping over and over again every time I have an L.
She's right. Yeah, all the L's. She's done good, though. I'd say you did pretty good. Well, let's give this thing a score.
Okay.
So we won't give you the final score till the end here, but we have a different kind of scale than we have for the serial killers and for the UFOs and for other stuff. Mm-hmm. We call this the Oddity Scale, and it has several parts, as they all do. Mm-hmm. One is the reliability of the best source.
I'm so glad you said that word and not me.
Our second one is following scientific rules. Does it follow scientific rules? Mm-hmm. Our third one is the evidence scale. Is there a lot of it, a little bit of it? Mm-hmm. Another one that we have that we may not keep, but we've been debating on, but is if we study this further, does it push science forward? Mm-hmm. And then, of course, there's the number of witnesses and stories about it.
Right.
And so those are our 5 little areas that we think will help us understand if this is something that's worth looking into or if it has any evidence at all, etc. So here we go. Let's delve into it.
Was there a single good source?
First, we're going to look at the best source, the most reliable source of the stairs in the woods. I mean, they exist, but they're just stairs. But for the theories that go with it,
right?
What's the best source?
There aren't any. Right. That's just it. It's
anecdotal evidence.
Anecdotal evidence. They're Reddit articles. They're comments on posts. There's people just randomly sharing things. There's a couple in newspaper, not newspaper, but like magazine articles and that sort of thing. There is no evidence.
Okay.
It's just there's pictures of stairs.
Yeah. The stairs exist.
But that's all.
Right.
We do know that a house existed in that place at one point and it fell down, leaving the stairs off. Sometimes nobody ever mentioned anything about a chimney because that's usually the other part that stays too.
Right.
But no.
Well, who knows? People may have carted it off. Who knows?
Who knows?
So we gave it a 0.25.
Yeah.
Because we couldn't get it as it's not a full 0.
No, because there's pictures of stairs.
There's stairs. But it's really nothing. I mean, everything beyond that is extrapolation and wishful thinking, I think, in a lot of cases. Now,
how dare you?
I know.
How dare you?
Let's see if it follows scientific rules.
Does this shit make any sense at all?
All right, this one we gave a 0.25 as well. Because all of the claims, the scientific rules about stairs are very, very simple.
Yeah, they work.
There's some angles involved. And structure.
Evidently, you lose your hand and lose 5 years if you walk up these ones, though.
That's weird.
It is weird.
That doesn't follow scientific rules.
It does not.
But, losing your hand, if there was something sharp, like there was a blade stuck in a tree, some weird freak thing could happen.
Yeah.
It's a weird, big
but maybe
planet.
they conveniently left that part of the story out.
That would sell more magazines.
Yeah.
More interest would come if it was just a magic Rick and Morty type portal accident. But we gave it a 0.25 because it doesn't follow any scientific rules.
No.
Some of the quantum stuff that you talked about, I mean, they don't really know all the rules yet there. So maybe this would follow some of those, but certainly don't have the expertise
we are
to tell you.
Definitely not there yet as far as science goes. And everything I discuss, those are our theories, and they're entertaining these ideas. Really fucking smart people. The probability, they're saying the probability is pretty high because math says so.
Right.
But in my recent conversations with math, that entity and I didn't get along that great, and I didn't understand what the fuck they're trying to tell me, so I'm glad they can understand that.
For sure. And by the way, we're going from 0 to 5. We're doing the quarter points and stuff like that, so that's why we're giving a quarter point to these. But the evidence scale.
Is this evidence?
We gave that one almost a 1.
Almost.
We go 0.75 out of 5.
Because there's pictures of stairs.
A ton of them. A ton of pictures of stairs.
Yes.
And there's also a guy got his arm chopped off, which probably doesn't have anything to do with supernatural shit, but it's another thing that did happen. There is a guy that just, maybe he lived in the woods for 5 years.
Maybe he bumped his head falling down the stairs.
I don't. He probably just lived in the woods. He was like, he was probably in the bushes jerking it or something. Who knows? He was doing naughty things in the woods. I know I had to go there, but we gave it a 0.75 because there's stuff, but it's not evidence that anyone would use. But there's enough of these claims.
Right.
Now let's check and see if this pushes science forward.
Will studying this make humanity better?
No. It doesn't at all. But we did give it a 1.0 because if there was some sort of validity to the Stargate theory or the that's fucking amazing and changes the world.
Yes.
But at the very most, we can only give it a 1 because that's amazing. But
it is
the
amazing.
likelihood of spending even $1 studying staircases in the woods, adding to something that we'll use later as humanity, is very close to 0. But we did give it a 1 because amazing.
Yeah.
Would be crazy. Now our last one, the number of witnesses.
Are there a bunch of people saying this shit? Yeah.
This is the only thing that gets a high score for this.
So many stories.
It does get a 5.0.
Yeah.
Because there's so many claims. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of claims. Maybe hundreds of pairs of stairs. Sets of stairs.
So there's thousands of these things, and if only 1% were legit claims, that's
which
still quite a bit.
I know, right?
You know?
Yeah, it's like the UFOs.
What do you mean it's not? Those people believe that their claims are true, 1%.
I don't believe them, though.
It doesn't matter. They believe that.
It does only matter what they believe. You're right.
You know, under these circumstances, with anecdotal evidence and personal experience, they believe it.
I don't like to dismiss people like that. I'm really not that flippant about it. And when people are, passionate and whatnot, I definitely want to respect that. They're like, I saw what I saw.
Right.
And I don't want to just call them crazy.
Right.
But these are likely all just crazy people. Just saying. But no, it's...
Don't be a cunt. Don't be a cunt.
Well, oftentimes we reach for what we want things to be. One thing that struck me with this is like the weird feeling in the woods.
Yeah.
There's often, when you're out in the woods hiking in the mountains or in the hills and whatnot, there's a likelihood of your weird feeling being radioactivity because the mountains are filled with it.
Okay.
Just like when you get on an airplane, you're getting radioactive material. You're getting radioactified. I don't know what the word is. And I think sometimes...
Radiated?
Thank you. But I think when you go out in the woods, and there's just so much woods. And most of the woods haven't even been surveyed by human beings on foot. Right. So there's lots of deposits of uranium and other radioactive materials all through nature. That's what nature is. It's like little holding cells for these things.
I think it's more likely that you're just experiencing what it feels like to be stared at by a predator.
It could be that.
That's what I think.
It could be that.
But
I mean, if it's like, they didn't explain what the weird feeling is.
You're saying I went too far.
But
danger is what it seems like.
No, I think it's radioactive, and they should probably look and see if they have superpowers now. and that's why I encourage all of you to go out in the woods and find these stairs.
Get your superpowers.
Maybe get bit by a spider while you're there. Or, maybe drink some glowing
Life is never boring with you, honey.
I love you. All right, so we gave it a 1.45 overall because it's pretty much not going to be anything ever.
Right.
But there are tons and tons of stories about it, so it's very popular. And they do exist.
Right.
And it's fun to entertain the idea.
I had a blast entertaining this idea.
I had a blast listening.
And obviously, I took this weird thing and entertained it to the point where I actually applied quantum physics to it.
I
tried my best
you gave it
to find some scientific base.
I feel like you steelman the argument for their arguments pretty good.
I did my best.
You did. All right, now let's talk about our conclusions.
Let's put this bitch to bed, shall we?
So that was weird. That was a lot of fun. I had a blast.
The planet we live on is fucking weird.
I love that there's so many of these stories where it's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Right.
The 5-year thing, I mean, that'll stick with me for a long time.
Yeah, just disappeared.
That's just a great story. I mean, there's lots of stories based on things like that, but the stairway to heaven kind of deal with the stairs is just interesting. I love it. I love all of that stuff. Yeah, we'll have to investigate more oddities like this in the future.
Well, there's so many. I love looking into this shit.
Yeah. But likely not worth spending a single dollar on to.
The
study.
Stairs in the Woods? Yeah, probably not.
Yeah, I wouldn't spend it.
Yeah, I don't think
but
so.
But if you personally want to go out there and do stuff, nobody's going to make fun of you, except for legitimate scientists, and that's all.
Well, I think it'd be really cool. Go out into your woods, find some, and send us photos.
Yeah, but be careful. You don't want to be the cause. This isn't a call to action. This is a, if you're brave and you're real good in the woods and you know how to use stairs properly. Maybe you've seen Stargate a few times. Maybe even you probably shouldn't not just the movie. You probably should have watched SG-1, and I think it would have helped you if you watched Atlantis as well. If you have those things under your belt, go investigate the wood stairs.
The wood stairs.
The stairs in the woods.
The stairs in the woods.
Well, I think that's all we have for our presentation today.
Yeah.
But here's what's coming up next week on the Dipshit Files.
Mm-hmm.
Next week on the Dipshit Files.
A dipshit is coming up next week on the Dipshit Files. Go figure. But he's a murderer. We're back to serial killers.
Yes.
His name is John E. Robinson, sometimes called the internet's first serial killer. I'd never heard of him till this, and we're going to let you do all that deep research you do, and we're going to present his story, and it's fucked up.
Yeah, it is.
He wasn't just a serial killer. He did all the bad things.
Yeah.
He was like going through all of the sins in the Bible, like check, check. Gluttony, I think I could probably do check. Yeah.
We'll see, and I'm going to hold these cards close to my chest because I want to blow your mind next week.
Right.
I really do. This one here, I've looked into this guy. I kind of wanted Time Suck to do it. I gave the topic over, but it never happened. So I'm excited about this one. This one is so twisted and just fucked up. Not really that gory, but just psychologically fucked.
Oh, good. I look forward to, another Wednesday thinking weird shit.
It's gonna be weird. But awesome. I look forward to doing some deep research and bringing a good story to you guys.
Yeah. So join us next week as we open another dipshit file on another dipshit. All right, thank you guys so much for listening.
Yeah.
I've been Mr. Script Keeper.
And I've been Mrs. Script Keeper.
And if you guys want to keep up with us, you can visit us at Skatcast.com. If you guys want to pay us and become our bosses and tell us what to do, we'd love that. You can go to Patreon/Skatcast. And then you can also just PayPal us if you want. You can just punch our PayPal in the face. But we don't care. Just listen. If you'd like to share, that's lovely. If you'd like to rate and review, that's, according to the algorithm, the most useful thing you can do besides just showering us with money. Either one. If you'd like to do both those things, Jesus.
That'd be great.
You're invited to some party or something in the future. We'll do a camp out. It'll be good. There'll be punch and pie. But thank you guys so much. There's also lots of dipshit merch. Those coffee mugs are going like crazy, so grab yours.
Yes.
It's my favorite mug that we have. It's so nicely designed. It's just very nice.
It's just a mug.
And it holds coffee exactly like you would expect, much like staircases work like you'd expect.
Quantum physics work with this cup.
It's got the protons and the neutrons and the megatrons. It's great. I love it. So, all right, you guys. I guess we'll take this moment to say we'll talk at you in the future. It'll seem like the present.
Bye.
It's the Dipshit Files.
Bing bong.